Oh, hi Mark.
So, Porsche does a new car, this is what happens. Here's what Porsche said when it announced this, the latest Boxster. These new models, these being the Cayman and the Boxster, continue the tradition of the Porsche 718 mid-engine sports cars that won numerous races in the 1950s and 1960s. Superb. Powered by four-cylinder... What? That's not so much an elephant in the room as an elephant with one of its legs missing. Because the Porsche Boxster has always had six-cylinder engines. Yep, hard to believe it, but the Boxster is more than 20 years old now, with the first one debuting in 1996 and shaking the affordable-ish sports car game to its foundations by being utterly brilliant and quite reasonably priced. See, from about 30 grand, you can have one of the purest, most fun driving experiences imaginable. Plus, because it had a Porsche badge and sounded great, even if the driving bit didn't bother you that much, never had so much showing off been available for so little. But fast forward to this Boxster, the fourth one, and Porsche has mercilessly conformed to environmental prudence, the tradition of the Porsche 718,
My ass.
and started using four-cylinder engines. You know, like in a small hatchback. Except that, how many small hatchbacks have you been in that sound like this? Now at this point I'm supposed to talk about how the Boxster has lost loads of character by switching to a four-cylinder, but honestly it really doesn't bother me at all because this sounds fantastic. It's really loud and full of
bitch, dirty stinking bass.
And this is the basic one. To explain a bit, the old six-cylinder engines in the Boxster and Boxster S are now four cylinders and turbocharged. 2 litre in the standard car and 2.5 in the S. The advantages, in my opinion, and in Porsches as it goes, far outweigh the minor sonic degradation. Because look, 4-cylinder Boxsters are both quicker and more economical than 6-cylinder Boxsters by consequential margins. And beyond that, the switch to turbocharging means this has a lot more torque and much lower down in the rev range. And not just a little bit, but a significant amount, which translates to markedly improved responsiveness. The Boxster S is quicker on paper, of course, but you really don't need any more than the basic one here. It's quick enough, it sounds really good, and you might get 40 miles per gallon out of it. But much more importantly than pure speed in any event, the Boxster's tremendous sense of feel, its perfect driving position, and its extraordinary sense of connectedness to the road are intact, improved even. Nothing on this side of a supercar or a 911 sits you down quite like a Boxster does. So you sit really low and the pedals feel miles away, so you feel like your legs are flat. They're not like, but it feels like that. And the steering wheel feels like it's really high and vertical. So all in all, and in the best possible way, it feels like you're sat at an arcade game cabinet. As in, it's almost like a caricature of what a sports car should feel like from behind the wheel. And then there's just the sheer heft of the thing. It's got the tightest gearbox you'll ever put your hands on. And the steering has the same sort of precision and control as this up-and-coming footballer that you might have heard of.
Messi. Messi.
On top of that, it's actually quite practical. See, because of the mid-engine layout and the configuration of the cylinders, which are flat, the engine's placed right down with the hood basically on top of it. So you can have a little boot at the back and a little one at the front. And the volume of the two combined is greater than that of other sports cars that you might typically compare with this. Its main rival being, of course, the Jaguar F-Type, which, in my opinion, is the best thing the Jaguar has done for a long, long time. It feels awesome all the time. And that's a bit of a problem for the Boxster, and here's why. Because of something you might term sparkle, I guess. The problem the Boxster has, if any, is that it doesn't have a great deal of that when you're just going about your day-to-day business. See, I reckon, and I'm pretty sure I'm not alone in this, that in a track-based fist fight between a Boxster and an F-Type, the Boxster would win because it's pretty much the apotheosis of pure handling. New and improved, I might add. Porsche sharpened the steering even more than the last Boxster, which was sharp enough as it was. And if you option adaptive damping, you'll be amazed at how this one little button can transform the car from quite pliable and comfy to rock hard and track ready. See, it has this sense of lightness and lack of inertia at the front end that the F-Type just can't compete with. It's basic physics because the engine in this thing is back there and the engine in the F-Type is up there. The Boxster's fundamental greatness becomes ever more evident the more you push it. Hang on, wasn't I supposed to be criticising this? Oh yeah, sparkle. So, this is brilliant in every way, but also has this strange underlying sense of being too clinical in a way that the F-Type just doesn't. The Jaguar F-Type's cabin is just spectacular whichever way you look at it. It's just cool, you know? Whereas for me, the Boxster's cabin is already aged quite badly. Like all this plastic and all these grey buttons, and there are some incidentals that will bug the crap out of you day to day. Like the way that the nearest cup holder rattles your coffee so that it spills onto the switches underneath it. Seriously, look at this absolute carnage.
Their families left for the airport. The Kremlin has already
incident at RAF Valley.
And how this screen's a bit small and a bit fiddly. And how Porsche's options list is verging on criminally expensive. So, the car I'm driving here is a basic Boxster, okay? List price, 43 grand, roughly. Except the wheels, they cost 1,700 quid, plus 615 pounds. And the loud button, 1,530 pounds. Those adaptive dampers, they're £1,000. Porsche badges on the headrests, 140 quid. And navigation software for the screen that you've already got, that's £1,000. There's £12,000 worth of options on that car, and it's not really even scratched the surface of what can be accomplished with the Porsche configurator. Automatic gearbox, 2 grand. But there are a couple of things to bear in mind here. The first is that my preference for the F-Type cabin is neither here nor there, obviously. And the second is that when you look at the original Boxster's 30 grand asking price back in 1996 and then adjusted for inflation, you'll see that in real terms the Boxster's actually got cheaper. It's also a heck of a lot cheaper than an F-Type. In addition, notwithstanding the fact that this has a whole new engine, Boxster economy has always been good, and if you check our real MPG figures, you'll see that for yourself. And the residuals are excellent, which makes the finance relatively alluring. And although Porsches are notoriously expensive to fix, reliability shouldn't really be too much of a problem. That's not something you could necessarily say about any Jaguar with much confidence. Disclaimer, based on anecdotal evidence at least. And so what this boils down to is that my only real criticism is that I think the cabin looks a bit naff. And that's an opinion that's overridden by everything else that's glorious about the Boxster. Oh, and the fact that, and it is a fact, the outside looks mint. And so, in conclusion, if you can, you should definitely get one of these. Just the basic one will do. Thanks for watching. A more extensive review, as ever, is over at the website, so go there to have a look at that. Please subscribe to the channel and please leave comments under the video, tell me what you thought, and I'll see you soon. Bye!